I'm Hillary Trudell. I'm the executive producer of The Yarn. I just want some clapping if this is your first Yarn show. Cool. So we are so happy to be here. We're partnering with the Women's Foundation of Arkansas. So Annabeth, who's over here, is with us tonight, as well as Ryder, who deserves all the drinks that she can take from her recent fall. We're really happy they're here. So this is a show celebrating some really fierce women. You might not know this about me, but my hair is usually not this fabulous. But I have been through a couple of rehearsals and numerous story coaching with 8 wonderful women who you're about to hear from, and I was like, they're way too fabulous for me to come up here and not do my hair. So I had to kind of raise my game up a little bit. So we're really happy to be here. The Yarn's mission is to amplify voices, build understanding, and create a space for human connection. So that's what our purpose is, and the Women's Foundation has released a report on the economic indicators of women in Arkansas, and I'm gonna let Annabeth talk about that at the end of the show. But before we do that, we're gonna hear from some amazing women. So these women have all been working for the past month on crafting their story, telling a perfect stranger their story, rehearsing their story in front of another group of perfect strangers. And to say they're brave would be an understatement. They are bold, they are fierce, they're inspiring. They will potentially make you cry tonight because I've been very close to it while I've been working with them over the past few weeks. So I know they're really excited, but there's also some nerves in the air. So let's just show them what a wonderful audience we're gonna be tonight with them. Yeah, and I'm sure you all know this, but to get on stage and talk about yourself can be really difficult. Even more challenging can be to talk about the challenges you've overcome. So they're stepping into a place of vulnerability, and that takes amazing courage, as I'm sure you can imagine. So again, to all of our storytellers, we're so happy you're here, and we're excited to hear from you. Are we ready for our first storyteller? Yeah. Stephanie Thompson was born in Emerson, Arkansas, and she went on, there we go. And she went on to serve in the Air Force and eventually earn her master's in counseling. She was a mental health therapist, and she is the author of 3 books, Love Yourself First, Down South, and Brave, a memoir. She is married with 3 wonderful kids and lives in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Let's give it up for Stephanie.
Wow. Thank you for that. Woo, okay. Okay. As she was saying, I was born and raised in Emerson, Arkansas, a small town just above the Louisiana state line. That's how far south I'm from in Arkansas. A very small town, about 444 people the day I graduated. I was raised by a single mother. I was the oldest child of 4. My mom had an undiagnosed mental illness, and she spent most of her time, getting a little nervous here. She spent most of her time in a rage, throwing things, yelling, telling us we had ruined her life, that she would never have a man in her life because all of our fathers had abandoned us. And the other time she spent in her room, sad, with the door closed. Sometimes I could hear her crying at night. And then there were days when she would feel okay, and she would come out and she might cook and she might put on a nice outfit, and that would last for a short time before she'd go back into the dark mood again. That's how we lived every single day. We never knew what to expect, but we loved her and we wanted the best for her. As I was sharing, when I was getting prepared for this, we were on welfare and food stamps. But there's 2 parts of it. We were on welfare and food stamps when from the time I was about 6 to 12, my mom couldn't find a job, and she had little babies and whatnot, and she was depressed and all this, as I was sharing before. But something changed around the time I was 12, and she got a job as a nurse's assistant. She was still going through the same things, but she learned how to hide it. She learned how to mask it during the day and then just kind of let loose at night. From what I've been told, she was a great worker, very caring and very loving. But at home, her name for me was Bald-Headed Witch. That's what she called me from the time I was 6 years old. So after a while, I began to believe some of the things she was saying about me. I began to believe that I was unworthy, that we were in the way, and that we had ruined her life, that there was no future for me or for my siblings. But somehow I kept going, and I became a good student. And I graduated among the top 3 of my class. Before that, my class had nominated me to be on the homecoming court, believe that or not, but it was more than how you looked. It was about how you acted and carried yourself. And we went through an interview, and I was chosen for a homecoming queen. And for just a split moment, I was happy. But then I realized I didn't have a dress, I didn't have transportation, and I knew that my mom would be angry. By the time the night came and I took the walk, I didn't want to be queen. I just wanted to get out. I just wanted to go. Ooh, this is tough. So I joined the Air Force. And shortly after graduating, I went to basic training, and then I went to my permanent duty station. While there, I would go home on the weekends to take care of my brother and sister as best I could, to take them food, to make sure they had fresh water, because our well was so low that the pipes could not reach it, and when it could, the water was so muddy that they couldn't drink it. So I hired somebody to bring them fresh water. One time I went home, and it was so bad, the food was molded and everything was outdated. My mom was getting progressively worse, and my siblings asked me if I would take them back with me. I didn't know how I could do that, but I knew I couldn't leave them. So I took them back to my duty station. I went to see our JAG, our military attorney, and I told him what I was going through, what we were going through. And he advised me to get a civilian attorney and to apply for guardianship. I did, and I got guardianship of them, and I moved them to Louisiana with me. I enrolled them in school. I rented an apartment for us, and they did well. They weren't hard to raise. But after that, I was sent to the Gulf, and I had to send them back to my aunt for a while. But in the Gulf, things changed for me. I was on a remarkable team, and we put together a hospital in the middle of nowhere in Saudi Arabia from the ground up, and I was really proud of that team. But on the inside, I still felt like there was something wrong with me. But one day, during my off-duty time, I went into the day room, and there was this huge box of books that had been donated from people overseas, people in the States. And I went through that box until I found a book that was called Dress for Success. And on the cover of that book was a lady who looked like she was confident. She looked like she knew what she was doing from the inside out. And I wanted to be like that. So I took that book and I read it cover to cover. And I also found another book called I Surrender. I believe it was by Andrew Murray. And it talked about faith. And for a moment, I realized that I was good and that God would help me if I asked. And that changed my life. I realized I didn't have to do everything on my own, that I could say something is going on and someone would come and help me. And I'm so grateful for those two books, because when I got back to the States, I read every motivational book I could find, inspirational books. I started to eat better. I started to get more sleep. I started to think about what I wanted in life and how to go about getting it. It wasn't easy, but I made some significant changes. And I want to say, too, that my brother, two brothers, and my sister are doing well now. They all have college degrees. They're all professionals. And I'm really, really excited about that. I now have 2 children, a beautiful daughter and a son and a brand new granddaughter. Sometimes I still feel unsure, but I do it anyway. Thank you.
She gets a second round of applause for going first.